I think let's start with this.
Crying.
Is he saying episode 135?
I think he did. I think that was Spanish, though. He's a bilingual toddler.
Nice. Well, hey, Greg, you're back.
Hey, good to be back, guys.
Yeah.
Are we live? We rolling?
Yeah, why not?
Cracking beers. We got Greg. We got the whole 135. You said, "Holy shit!"
Holy shit!
Should I have waited to crack the beer on Mike?
No, we're good. We're good, man. We'll crack another one too.
Second one we'll crack on Mike.
Perfect. So we're back with Greg Bergdorf. This is the 5th time you've joined us in the 135 episodes of our illustrious podcasting career. So thank you for coming back, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
It's been a year, though, right?
Almost 10 months, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, we didn't forget about you, man. We didn't want to give you space. We didn't want to think that we were like using you, like fanboying nonstop. Because now you're like a fucking homie of the podcast, so it's like a whole different game now.
I can be the unofficial 4th member.
Oh, dude, exactly.
You're it. We've got another friend who's been on 3 times. He's close, but you're it.
Yeah, you're number 1.
Yeah. So you've got head and shoulders 2 whole now episodes ahead of him. So he's got some work to do to catch up to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Like Nelly says, what does it take to be number 1?
Greg, I was thinking we owe a lot to you from, I think you were our second interview, and some of those early interviews were kind of stiff, but yours was like right at it from the get-go. We had a blast with that. So like, I'm trying to think back. If yours was, if you were stiff, we probably wouldn't still be a podcast. So thank you.
Glad I could you can cut your teeth on me.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it was our 9th episode, right?
Yeah.
And you're still in our top 10 of overall like listens per episode. I think you're 9th. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 9th or 10th. You're right there, man. So everybody who's listening to this one, go back and check that one out so it stays in there.
Keep it in rotation.
Yeah. So, Greg, we were texting the other day, and we were talking about our 3-album run episode that we did with you, which we preempted the first time to have you on, and then you came back and did it with us. And you watched a documentary recently that you had a little bit of idea you wanted to talk about that these two don't know about. Anthony and Nate don't know about this yet.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, there's a new rockumentary. Do you call it a rockumentary if it's not rock in genre?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
Popumentary.
It's like a countrymentary.
Yeah.
Popumentary.
Twang-umentary.
Right? But it was a Shania Twain documentary. I had totally forgotten. She had 3 diamond albums in a row.
Wow.
That's insane.
Unheard of.
How many records that is.
Yeah, there was a moment there, right? She just absolutely owned the music world.
Yeah, everything.
It was all Mutt Lange, right? She was married to Mutt Lange, and it was all her.
Yeah, it was all her.
Gotta give her credit.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, it was probably a lot of collaboration. I don't know if either one could have done it without, like, it was definitely like a team with them being married. And even in the countrymentary there, she didn't say it was like, I mean, she said it was a lot of her, but she definitely like gave him a lot of credit for production and just being supportive and being a producer.
Yep.
But now that they're divorced, I guess she's got a new album coming out, which it's impossible to go diamond anymore.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. That's never happening again.
But it definitely seems like she is trying to prime the engine so that she can, stand on her own 2 feet and be like, yeah, it wasn't all him.
Is she going to pull a Taylor Swift and just talk about her exes? Just talk about Mutt the whole time?
She might.
She might. I don't know.
Well, Nate has a conspiracy theory going back about 70 episodes that Taylor Swift signed all of her CDs in an effort to go a diamond.
Yeah, she's trying to go diamond. We all know it's AutoPen, which is basically a robot that signs the albums for you.
Yeah. So go back and listen to the conspiracy episode too.
How many did she actually sign for that?
None.
Our guess is
how many did the bot sign?
That's a good question.
Did the bot sign 100,000 or something?
I have one. My wife got me one. I don't even know. It was a lot. I got to look it up, but it was a lot.
Yeah. the bot is still signing them, and no one's actually at this point. No one's buying them. They're like, you know what? I already have this album. It keeps showing up on my doorstep. Like, I don't want it. Thanks, but no thanks.
Wow, there's one on eBay for $109.
Really? Wow.
Glad I have one.
Yeah, it's just you gotta sell it now.
Yep. So yeah, Shania being as big as she was, and I mean that's a 3-album run for the record books, 3 straight diamonds.
Yeah, does anybody have 3 consecutive diamond albums? Anybody else?
I doubt it. And obviously
Even 2.
Never happen again.
2, maybe Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Eminem, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Eminem Show and Marshall Mathers.
NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. They probably had 2. But 3? I don't know, man. Never again.
Did Zebrahead, Greg?
we didn't even get a gold record in America, let alone diamond.
And I'm pretty sure Zebrahead got cubic zirconial, which is equivalent in a different way.
We had 3 in a row gold in Japan. That's not so bad.
No,
Nice.
Not at all. Not at all. We might have some Japan questions for tonight too. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little, probably MFZB, but I'm sure we'll tangent, right? I mean, that's what we do here. But if that record is coming up on a birthday, not quite 20, it's going to be 19 this month, which is...
It doesn't make me feel old at all.
Me either, man. I remember buying it. I remember the day I bought it. Like, I walked into my local record store to buy the Thursday record, I think was out around that time too. Wore All the Time. And I was like, that's why I went, and then saw, there's a new Zebrahead record today too. And I was like, I'm buying that. Like, that's happening. So, yeah, that's 19 years ago. I was on my way to school, on my way to college.
Were we end capped?
You were in the new releases. You were right up front.
Yeah, I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Bull Moose, our local record store, pretty cool about that stuff. They get it.
So, Greg, are you a trivia guy?
Trivia. Depends on the trivia, I suppose.
Let's go MFZB trivia. So I'm holding up the CD booklet here. I was doing some liner notes digging. Do you remember who you thanked in the MFZB liner notes?
I'm going to go with nobody.
So I'm going to quote you. I don't want to thank anyone. and then it goes on to thank Alex at Fender and Michelle at Line 6. And then you say, I'm lazy and I don't want to list 894 names again. And again, this is quoting you. Blah, 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 fuck off.
That's amazing.
Greg's like, did I really do that?
Sounds about right.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that is. I love that you were like, probably no one. right on the money.
I seem to remember the band in its entirety. We didn't want to do liner notes. Like, we were kind of over it. Yeah. And kind of like it says, it's like, we already thanked everybody on the first 2 records. Who are we going to thank again? We're going to thank the same people over and over again. Thanks, Donnie Einer. And like, it's like one of those, the thank yous become a list that your managers get and give to you. Like if you have a big wedding and your parents are like, oh, you need to invite my friend from work and Uncle Jimmy, who you haven't seen in 30 years, and this other person. It's like, it's not even your wedding anymore. It's not your thank you. So you're like,
well, it's clear that Justin had that same idea. He goes blah 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 blah, especially blah 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 blah. How could I forget blah blah blah? Thanks so very much, blah blah blah, and finally beer.
Oh man. Yeah, you guys were a fun group. You guys were a fun group.
It's funny that you give it context too, because you watch like the Grammys or like the Oscars, and you see someone like accept an award, and they really do go through this almost like script of like, oh, my manager and the production company, all these people, like really, you can almost see it in their facial expression, like they don't really fucking care. In fact, they don't like that. You can tell they don't care so much that they're like really like going through this whole like script, and then they're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna walk off stage now. But it's like they have to do it, you know. So it's funny that you kind of highlight that.
Right. And then if like at the Grammys, you got to get it inside of a minute or else they'll just cut you anyway.
The Wrap It Up box. This is my second straight week doing a Chappelle Show reference, but the Wrap It Up box. They start playing the music early and like, wrap it up, B, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I seem to recall like the whole band. We were just like, can we just have no liner notes? Just put the cover jacket and we're good. You want to put lyrics in there? I guess. All right.
This is jumping probably ahead, but we're on the booklet. Twan just showed one of them. You had different colors, right? There was yellow, there was blue, there was green. Anthony just had the blue one up. What was that about? Why'd you guys do that?
And why are you laughing so much? Now I really want to know what the answer is.
Glad I asked.
Okay, so our merch guys at the time, the Conley brothers, they went to high school with us too. And I wouldn't say they were juggalos, but they had some ICP records. And this was just after, I couldn't possibly tell you what ICP record it was, but it was something with the cards, and
was it the Great Malenko?
They had some sort of cards that came in the CD as like a bonus, and you don't know what card you were going to get if you opened up the CD. So you had to collect like 5 different versions of their album cover to get all of the cards to unlock some secret bonus shit online.
It's amazing.
And all of us were like, explain that to me again. Wait, what? So all of these fucking juggalos are going to go buy 5 copies of the same goddamn record just so they could get one bonus song, so get some like special little trinket, and they had to put like the cards together to solve the riddle, and then they get like one extra song or some bonus content online. They're like, yes. I'm like, that is fucking genius.
Yeah, it really is.
It's some Captain Planet shit.
How can we rip that off? So we ended up having 4 different colors as like a collectible sort of thing with no secret.
There was no prize.
Yeah, there's no prize at the end of the rainbow. you just could collect all 4 colors.
You got a yellow one. Nice. I think I bought were there less of a certain color, or were they all the same amount?
There were way more blues.
Okay. All right.
And then I don't remember the exact numbers on the other colors, but they were not equal either. I want to say the yellow or green was the least printed one. So I had all 4 colors, right? And I had them in my CD rack, with all my other CDs, and then the Zebrahead like stuff and all the stuff that I've ever done as an artist myself with, previous bands and like all the EPs and the like splits that we did with other people on the rack. And a friend came over and we were showing him our new house. This was with Audrey's mom, my ex-wife. And my friend goes, "Oh, wow, you got, such and such colors down here?" And my wife just hands it to him. He goes, "Yeah, here's yours." I was like,
what the hell?
I can't get that back. Right.
Yeah.
It's worth $300 on eBay
anymore.
Yeah, some of them are definitely hard to find, and people pay big money for them too.
Yeah, so I only have 3 colors now.
Oh man. Give him the blue one. The blue one's easy to find.
Yeah, right? That's kind of what I was like. Well, no. What?
I feel like such a fraud now with the blue.
Well, what sucks is I bought the blue one just because that's the one I reached for. I didn't even realize that was the one that wasn't the limited one. It's like, come on.
Well, I think I had the yellow one, and I think I sold it back like an asshole. So when I got rid of all my CDs when I moved a few years back, I that's one I wish I had hung on to.
I don't know if I ever recall seeing the other colors in stores outside of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took them from the office when I saw them in there one day. I was like, "Oh, hey, they're all here. I'm going to grab one of everything."
Which one are you on the cover?
Which one am I on the cover? Let me see the cover.
You guys are all facing towards Skyline here.
My guess is far right.
So not the Mohawk, obviously.
That's Ben, right?
Did you ever wear a studded belt? Because 2 people have studded belts. Greg, this was 19 years ago, not 40 years ago. Come on.
Hold on, let me put my glasses on. I'm far left.
You're far left.
Oh, okay.
Because you couldn't see a backwards Mets hat, obviously. We would have seen that had it been doable.
So was it intentional they put the parental advisory sticker over you on the left side? You always see it on the right side.
I don't know. Me and Ed I would always go to the left. He would always go to the right. And it was same for on stage. I was always stage left.
That makes sense.
To this day, I'm still always stage left.
Yeah. I can confirm that. I've seen you do it with the Bourbon Brothers live.
Oh, back to the parental advisory sticker. So I'm listening to it in the car with Audrey. Oh, I guess I didn't tell the story. I told it before we started recording. But so I haven't listened to this record in a really long time. When I wrote that piece for that blog, I listened to like a handful of songs that I couldn't really remember. But I didn't listen to the record. So today I was like, I should listen to that record before tonight. So I go to pick up the kids, get in the car, and I put MFZB on, and I was going to listen to it front to back and see if I could squeeze in Waste of Mind and Playmate too, in case you guys wanted to go on a tangent.
Yep.
And so I'm about halfway through MFZB. I was actually on Expectations, and Audrey gets in the car, and like the guitar solo starts up, and she whenever she gets in the car, she takes my phone and she wants to watch YouTube videos or TikTok videos, and they're on YouTube, but I won't let her have TikTok. Like now, and I'll let her watch videos if it's in front of me so that I can see what she's watching. So that's not, I don't want to get out of control where I'm like, what are you watching? How did you get there? No. Man, it's a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Playmate of the Year video, music video.
Right? What are you learning about your father right now? Just turn this off. But yeah, the first thing I said, we should turn it off. I'm like, whoa, ever turn off the music when your father is playing guitar solo. Come on.
Yeah, and it's a good guitar solo too.
But she's like, why are you listening to Zebrahead? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be on a podcast today, sweetheart. So I'm doing some prep work in case I forgot what is happening in this album. She's like, oh, can I be on it? I'm like, I guess. Sure. But so yeah, listening to it with her in the car, I totally forgot how much swearing there actually is in these songs. Right. I was like, whoa, another F-bomb. Shit, fuck, F-bomb. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, earmuffs, sweetheart, earmuffs. It's like every song had at least one, even the like the poppier ones. I was like, oh, God damn it.
So Greg, let me ask you, does the label have any input in that? They're like, guys, tone it down. Like this has got to go out. Or are they hands off?
The first two records, they were kind of like, can we tone it down or skip especially if they thought it had a chance of being a single, they were like, no, let's change it here. On MFZB, they were like, you just guys do whatever you want. Yeah. I was like, yeah, finally.
Yeah, right. Let us go. Well, I mean, we love those first two records too, but this one felt, for me, listening to those three records like in a row, and it's a 3-album run. We've talked about that before. This one feels like you guys at that time. I know it's not the greatest time for the band, but the music that came out of that time was awesome. Like this is my favorite Zebrahead record. I still listen to it pretty regularly. Like it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's the records I was a part of. I would say this is my favorite record too. And like you said, it was difficult to get done. You know, wasn't the best camaraderie of work environment, but I don't know if it is the same record if it were all rainbows and sunshine.
All right, so album releases, we're talking first album, which is really an EP, right? Yellow. Into Waste of Mind.
The Yellow was actually our demos for Waste of Mind, and Howard Benson, the producer, had just purchased. How was the name of that label it was on? He just purchased that label with the manager from Hanson.
Oh wow!
And that guy, I forget that guy's name, but he would come by the studio every now and again and just tell Hanson stories and be funny. But one day he shows up in a Porsche and the license plate said MMMBOP.
Bought a Porsche. F the world.
But yeah, the Yellow was it was really just our demos that we did with Howard that we shopped to try and get a deal. We used 3 of those songs. We used Check, Walk Away, and I think Swing was the 3rd song that we used it for shopping to labels to try and get showcases. Which, do we need these things happen anymore in the music industry?
Right. I don't know.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's good context. So yeah, the Yellow record, which I bought at the Avalon show and supporting MFZB when you guys were touring with Real Big Fish.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2004, yeah. So you guys still had some at the merch table, which is pretty cool. I think I have it somewhere in storage. Into Waste of Mind, into Playmate of the Year, into MFZB. And then, so MFZB, we're always like, what the hell? All these album titles kind of have meaning that we can kind of obviously figure out.
You have to leave the room.
Why?
Because I have to tell inappropriate stories.
Class? Are you in a class?
Possibly.
That title, compared to the other titles, it just seems random. So where does that come from? What does it mean? I know it's not safe for work, but what does it mean?
We just want you to say it out loud.
So we did on Playmate, we did a run on Warped Tour for like 3 weeks, and Ice-T was, I was going to say Ice Cube, but it was Ice-T and Body Count were out.
That's right. Yes.
I don't even know if Body Count was just Ice-T, but he was doing Body Count songs too, along with like Ice-T songs. And every day from stage, he would be like, "We're changing our motherfucking name. We're now motherfucking Ice-T, bitch." And so they had a shirt too that said "motherfucking Ice-T, bitch." And we just thought it was fucking hilarious. And he like, when one of his like assistants, PAs or whatever, crew guys comes and knocks on our bus door one day, and he's like, "Yo, we're having a tea party tonight. Everybody's invited. You guys, we all come. It's all cool. See you there." We're like, all right, I can't wait to go to fucking Ice-T's bus and fucking party with Ice-T. This is going to be awesome. So we roll up on his bus later tonight. It's like, I don't know how you fit that many people from Warped Tour onto one bus, but it was, super crowded, right? And we get in there, there's this cloud of smoke and loud music, and their lighting system was one of their crew guys sitting on top of the couch with a flashlight, just turning it off and on, off and on, off and on, off and on. And like the whole time we were in there, like 45 minutes, it's just tick, 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 tick.
Hey, Greg, that's when you know you made it. You can pay someone to do that.
That's so good.
But so it was every day he'd say, "We're motherfucking Ice-T, bitch." And Justin said the day after this tour, we're not on this tour. I'm just saying that every fucking day. We are no longer Zebrahead. We have changed our name to motherfucking Zebrahead, bitch. So it stuck with the MFCB thing.
That's amazing.
And, it rolled into the album name.
Was there ever thought to keep it like long form spelled out, like motherfucking Zebrahead, bitch?
I think we did have a T-shirt where it was on the back with
nice.
Like there was a star or something over a U, but you get the point. So yeah, credit Ice-T.
Does Ice-T know this? Because that's pretty cool.
I don't know if Ice-T even knew who we were.
He's about to get added, so he's gonna find out.
Oh, I got another funny Ice-T story. So those Body Count records, Howard Benson did those Body Count records, or at least the big one. And our engineer for those first 2 records that we did with Howard was also the engineer on that record. But so Bobby Brooks, the engineer, and when Ice-T would come into the studio, he wouldn't look at Howard. He wouldn't talk to Howard. Howard said he would like try and make eye contact with Ice-T. He's like right there sitting in the studio with him, talking to him about how, he needs to do X, Y, or Z for the next part of this song, or maybe change the lyric here or do this other thing. And Ice-T would be like, he would talk to Bobby, or he would talk to one of his crew guys, one of his posse, and he'd be like, "Yo, tell this motherfucker, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna do it this way."
Nice.
And he would go through this long explanation of whatever he was trying to say, or he would have the conversation, but he wouldn't talk directly to Howard.
Wow.
He would talk to somebody else to talk to Howard.
Wow.
It's like, no, I heard what he said, guys. I am sitting right
I'm
here.
right here.
Thank you, Mr. T. Yeah, we can do that. That works. Damn, that's tough. That's gonna be a tough working environment.
So Greg, Benson worked on your previous material, but he wasn't involved in MFZB. Was there beef? Was it turmoil? Like, or was he too expensive? Like, what?
It was. I wouldn't say there was necessarily beef. I mean, to be honest, on the first two records, I would say the person that held the most power in the room was Howard.
Yeah.
A lot of the arrangement ideas on both of those records were his. And like, he would walk us through it. He's like, let's take a Beatles song. Well, how did they arrange, whatever song you'd pick it? And he's like, let's cop the arrangement. And it would, wouldn't be like one of the singles. It would be some, wouldn't be straightforward verse, chorus, bridge, double chorus out. He would like steal one of the oddball arrangements. He's like, yeah, this song's not gonna be a single. Let's have fun with it. Let's do something different. All right, let's do verse, chorus, weird section, back to verse, and then maybe a chorus but no singing here. And then it would just be different and new. I really enjoyed working with Howard. At the same time, I really hated that it was always his word that was final and not anyone in the band or the five of us, unless the five of us were all on the same page. Because the five of us, it's really hard to get five people on the same page for anything.
Totally.
And if you're Howard, you're producing a record, you're trying to get it done so you can move on to your next project. You're trying to get the label off your back. You're like, they want to know what the timeline is. You're dealing with a bunch of drunk 20-year-olds who are like fucking around all day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we weren't going to do it because we didn't know how to do it. Howard would just be like, fuck you guys. You guys can't decide. I'll decide for you. We're going to do it this way.
That makes sense. Yeah. We need that person. Can we have that person for the podcast? Greg, next time we have a dispute, I'm just going to text you and you're going to say, fuck you guys, you're doing it this way.
Do it this way. All of you are wrong. We're doing it like this.
Yeah.
And you'll reference some like old obscure B-side podcast from 15 years ago. And be like, well, they did it this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there was like beef, like we hated Howard, because we ended up doing songs with him later. Like,
right.
We all speak well of Howard. It was all good. At the same time, I think we needed to grow our own wings and move on. And then, like you said, Howard started having a lot of fucking really big records, and his price, even for the bro rate, because he always told us, or at least made us feel like, he's like, you guys were kind of my comeback, because like he did records in the 80s, like he did like a Bang Tango record and some smaller like West Coast hair metal bands that did all right locally. Wasn't like super huge. God, what's the name of that? South Gang? I think Bang Tango was probably his biggest record that he did from that late 80s, early 90s era. And then he became a A&R guy. And then he was working his way back into producing. And we were one of the first bands that he got to do. And he got a lot of work out of us, after us, because of the work he did on Waste of Mind. And gosh, what did he have? He had that POD record. Both of those were like double platinum. He had an All American Rejects record. He had that My Chemical Romance record. The first one was his. He had like a couple of Daughtry records. He had a shit ton of just super big fucking rock records. And he always was very thankful for us to give him a try and getting him a reboot on it. So, we did a couple songs with him later on. And it was nice to see him again in a new studio and all big time. We're like, you're still big time, but you're still wearing fucking cut off sweats with your balls hanging out. Can you wear some underwear, Howard? I know you got money now.
Yeah, right.
Even though, because before his wife still is in publishing. And at the time, he was like, I don't make the money in the family. My wife it makes all the money because they still had a nice house in Calabasas. Like, it wasn't like they were poor or anything. But yeah, we did a lot of the tracks too with both those first two records to cut costs. Like, he had a small little studio in his house that, you know, you could like do guitar overdubs or something. We would go to his house all the time and do tracks, and they'd grill out, and his kids would be running around. We'd hang out with his kids. But yeah, we left Howard. I don't have anything bad to say about him, other than I wish we had a little more control. But at the same time, I understand why we didn't have more control.
Yeah, I mean, you being fairly new, obviously new when you first started with him, and then starting to, you know, figure out what you could do, and getting 5 people to do the same thing and stuff, getting 3 people to do the same thing and stuff. I totally understand that. So having that overlord voice saying, "Nope, we're doing it this way. Just deal with it, guys."
Yeah.
Especially guys saying "fuck off" in the liner notes. You know? Trying to corral 5 of those guys.
So yeah, it was a little combination of all those things. I was trying to remember the producer who started the record. He did like a couple of songs on the Big Kid Rock record. I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
Cameron Webb?
No, there was a guy before that who he ended up firing.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
Rick Rubin.
I wish.
He would have just been like, "Nah, that sounds good, man."
Yeah.
and walked around barefoot, and yeah,
right. Serge Tankian, there's a parody video on YouTube that tells that story pretty vividly.
Was it John Travis?
Oh, that sounds right.
He did Double That It Costs.
Yeah.
98.
I think that is.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've shit on Rick Rubin on the podcast, so it was time.
So the quick side note on Rick Rubin, the System guys were on Deaf American, and Deaf American was an umbrella under Sony too, and Rubin's office was down the hall from our A&R guy's office, who was the head of A&R, was the guy that actually signed us. He was also the head of Columbia West Coast, so he was like the number 3 guy in all of Columbia. But Rick Rubin's office was like a couple doors down, so like we'd walk by his office all the time, like peek in. Is Rubin in there? I want to meet that dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Never in there. But the System guys were recording that first record at the same time we were recording ours, and we'd see him in there all the time, and shoot the shit with this other newly signed band that didn't have a record out yet. And they were super nice. We're like, "Fuck, what's it like working with Rick Rubin?" It's like, well, it's cool, but he doesn't really come out all that much. Like, we work with the engineer every day, and Rick calls in the morning and asks what is going on with the record and how's it going. And the engineer will hit play on the big, giant SSL board or whatever, and hold up his phone and play it for him. He's like, "Oh, this is what we did today."
It's like Phil Jackson. He doesn't actually do anything.
And
He
then
just sits there.
and they'd say, "Yeah," Ruben would be like, "Yeah, sounds great. Keep doing it."
That's amazing.
And then they'd just go back to doing whatever they were doing.
I mean, hey, don't get in the way of genius, right? People are good at what they do. Keep putting my name on that as a producer credit, and
Right?
I'll keep not wearing those expensive shoes that I can afford. All right, I'm done.
He only shows up for Red Hot Chili Peppers, I guess.
Yeah. We'd love to talk to Rick. I'd love to ask him that question right there. Just, hey, man, how about that Sode record? Were you just listening over some dude's flip phone in 98 or what?
I know. It's very Office Space. What do you actually do here?
I'm a people person. I have people skills.
Yeah. I got a meeting with the Bobs. I'll be back. See you guys.
All right, Greg. So I got a question. Because let's say like Playmate of the Year dropped in 2000, right? MFZB dropped in 03. For us in the States, there wasn't a whole lot of touring. Obviously, there was support on Playmate of the Year, but I can't remember any Zebrahead tours in 2002. and 2003 the album dropped. So were you guys touring internationally throughout that process, writing the record for MFZB, or were you guys on like a somewhat hiatus and kind of came back together to write the record?
No, we did. We definitely toured the States on that record. I'm trying to think how many times though. Definitely, I know we were out for like 8 weeks in the States with Real Big Fish as the headliner, Goldfinger, and then we were third. And we did two Real Big Fish tours on MFZB on that record. One tour, it was those same three as the back three, and then the opener fourth band was the Matches before they were signed to Epitaph, and they were like selling Yvonne Dahl like just out of their van. And I think that was the second one. The first one was, I think, I don't remember who was first or second. I want to say RX Bandits was first, and I can picture the guys in the band. They did that punk rock cover of "Come On Barbie, Let's Go Party."
Shit. The original song is Aqua.
When you say it, I'll know it.
Yeah. Damn.
Rock. Google knows everything, right? Homegrown.
Oh, Homegrown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Kings of Pop. That was a great album.
Yeah, it was RX Bandits, Homegrown, us, Goldfinger, Real Big Fish. And then the second time on that was Matches, us, Goldfinger, Real Big Fish. And then we did that same lineup in Europe and England too.
Okay, so coming off of Playmate of the Year into MFCB, you guys toured the whole time. There was no break to write. It was just straight tour.
No, we didn't do very well at writing on tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were too busy doing other stupid stuff that we just didn't write on tour. But when we came home, like we didn't take time off. Like we would maybe take 1 week off after, doing 6 weeks on the road, and every night, sorry, not every night, but every week, it'd be Monday through Thursday. We'd practice from 5, 6-ish at night till like 11, 12 midnight every night, Monday through Thursday. And it was regular. Like we just considered it our job. Like we got to write another record. Otherwise this all ends if we don't have another record.
Right.
Is there any pressure, Greg? Like, because you guys, when were you at your like commercial peak? Was it after Playmate? Like, because I feel like they're coming off of that, then you got to write this record. Was there any pressure to deliver, or you guys just like, fuck off, we're writing whatever?
Honestly, all the pressure was Waste of Mind to Playmate. Playmate to MFZB, they were like, you got your shot, you missed it. You're done.
Right on. Yeah.
And it wasn't like we were done. Like they picked up the option because we had 2 firm and then options up to like 7 records after that. But
Wow.
it was their option. And then they could push us to do whatever too. So like they dropped us down to Red Ink under the flag of, well, you'll get more attention there because there's a lot of things happening at Columbia right now. We can't focus on your record and promoting. Like,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah.
These are all bad things. But yeah, honestly, I feel like the pressure from the label was off. It was really more of a pressure within the band to like continue on, persevere, get another one done. Like, is this going to be it? Are we like, where are we at now? Can we have a comeback record? We were, as people put it from the label, they're like, yeah, Waste of Mind was great. We don't expect debut albums to go double platinum, but you guys had a lot of exposure, did some good tours, you got a lot of good radio airplay.
Ron Jeremy, yeah.
It's right. That didn't last the test of time, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Ron Jeremy on there. Yeah. But it was Playmate was considered by Columbia to be a dud, like a failure. So even with it, and maybe it's just from a US perspective. And then, so you sign to Columbia, right? And that gives Columbia worldwide first right of refusal in every territory. So each territory is independent of itself from other territories. So Germany, Holland, Japan, like they can all choose or decline to pick up the record, but they're going to do that based on how it's doing in America. So if it's not doing well in America and they didn't release the first record, they were unlikely to pick up the second record. We got a little bit of airplay, and we're lucky enough to go over to Japan for a 3-show tour and press on that first record. And they were willing to give us a shot for that second record. And, we were able to catch lightning in a bottle with the big marketing, Columbia. Well, I guess it's technically Sony Japan, not Columbia Japan.
Well, and then there's still, you're not in the band anymore, and they're still big over there. So it worked.
Yeah, it definitely, the machine definitely worked over there. And because of the success in Japan, not so much the success in America, other territories in Europe would, Germany picked it up, Holland picked it up. We got a tour over there. They would put out MFZB as well. Actually, I take that back. We ended up going on, they let us have the record back internationally, and we licensed it to Gulf Records, who put it out in England and maybe it was just Germany, but a couple of the European nations.
It's a really interesting breakdown on how it was then, because at the end of the day, so I'm in CPG personally for my line of work, and I might be promoting an amazing product, MFZB might be an amazing record, but at the end of the day, it's all about aligning the audience with the end product and the end consumer. So both domestically and internationally, that's just such a hard task. It's all about timing, right? So how do you go about that? You're really depending on your label to do the legwork for you, because you're the talent. You're just going out there playing the shows and writing the record, but you're really depending on the label. But the label is putting the pressure on you to move units. So is the label also putting the pressure on you personally as a band and band member to also move those units as well, or what?
Not so much to move the units, but when we're recording the record, they're definitely at least, and I'm sure every label is different, and every artist's experience with their label is, unique to its own. Our label at the time wanted pop hit.
Sugar Ray Fly, baby.
Yeah, he literally said that. At one point on one of those records, the R&R guy came in and said, where's my feel good hit of the summer? Where's my Sugar Ray Fly? I need that song. Where's one of these? I need one of those. And I don't know if the band just caved, or I felt like Playmate, we tried to make 15 of those rather than just be ourselves.
Well, and when they told you just do your thing, you guys had your chance and you didn't do it. I think you guys made the songs that, we love them. That whole record has, MFZB has so many high points, like the opening riff in Blur, the way that you pair music with whoever's going to be singing, whether it be Ollie or Justin. It's so good, man.
Yeah, it was nice to have the label pressure off. It was really just pressure for ourselves. We definitely were trying to have at least one of those sort of poppier songs for Japan, because that's what they wanted. And, that Playmate did really, really well over there. So we ended up with Into You as the single in Japan, which wasn't the single in America. And it did well over there again, enough to kind of fund us to, try and break Europe in a cult following sort of. You can go out and, play 40 cities in Europe and have 500,000 people show up.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Take that.
Hell yeah, man. That's how you stay in the world, right? That's how the band stuck around. It's like the band ended after MFCB.
No. Although that was another trying time of your lead singer left. Everybody assumes the lead singer writes all the songs. So
Right.
everybody just thought, oh, well, what's Darling Thieves going to do?
Right. Yeah. The record must have been hard to make because you guys are kind of in a tough spot as a band, as a group, with obviously Justin left after this. But what was it like for you? Was it a really difficult thing to get through because of kind of the behind the scenes stuff?
MFZB or broadcast?
MFZB.
MFZB. Honestly, I would say I was probably the best, like the best of friends with Justin out of the rest of the guys in the band. Like he was closest, he and I were closest. And then Ed didn't, not to like draw out what the factions were.
Right.
But me and Ed could go between the factions and then you could see who's left on the table. Yeah. And Justin was going to quit after Playmate. And I was going through a divorce and he was about to get married, but they had like 8 months before their wedding, and they had gotten a condo down at Huntington Beach Pier, like right on top of the pier. And they had an extra room, and him and his fiance were like, "Yeah, you can come live with us." And I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah." And that was like we would drive back from our practice place was in Yorba Linda's. So we'd come up to 55 from Huntington Beach, and you're coming home at midnight to get to the bars before closing at the pier after practice and unwind before you go whatever. And he was going to quit then, and I felt like I talked him into staying, and I felt like there was a lot of behind the scenes to like just trying to get everybody's personality on board to get the record done. Like I felt there was still gas in the tank. I didn't want to let it go yet. I wasn't ready. Although Justin kind of talked me out of quitting in the middle of Playmate because I was so unhappy about how Playmate was finished. So, it was kind of one back. Hey, you don't want to do that. I'm like, all right, maybe I don't.
Honestly, it kind of makes me appreciate these albums like even more, knowing that one, they almost didn't happen, but what it takes to to pull them off. It's personalities. Like there's only 3 of us, and sometimes we struggle to put out an episode a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean? You add in 2 others, and it's like, damn, how are decisions even made?
Touring and people actually giving a shit, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Labels, trying to satisfy labels, satisfy fans, satisfy yourself.
Touring was easier than writing the record because it's such a release. It would be the 45 minutes out of the day where all 5 of us, regardless about the rest of the day, we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it was rare that there was a fight on stage or like some shit that would wreck the show. I mean, there was some stupid stuff. Like somebody gave me mushrooms at the end of a show in Detroit. I think it might have been at the Shelter downstairs where they did 8 Mile underneath St. Andrews.
Yep.
And somebody's like, "Hey, I took some of these, and I don't want the rest of them. I want to give them to you guys for the rest of you guys can have them." And it was like a little plastic Dixie cup, that you rinse your mouth with the dentist's office. And there's like these little tiny little mushrooms in there. I'm like, that's not fucking doing anything. But I took it back to the bus anyway. I'm like, "Yo, Allie, they got some mushrooms at work today. you want to do them tomorrow?" He's like, "Oh, all right, let's do them." All right. So the next day was House of Blues Chicago, and we split them in half, and we both put them on top of our. I put them on top of my amp, and one on top of the drum riser where he put like his bullhorn or whatever stuff he had on stage. And we had set it up for like at some point during the set, we were going to take them so that by the time we were done with the set and then like took a shower afterwards, it'd be kicking in. Mm-hmm. And you tried to time that right. And so we took them, and there's like 3 songs left in the set, and we were doing Fly Days, and Justin had the lighting guy was like, "Yeah, let's turn that disco ball on up here." And the lights dim, the disco ball comes on, and the lights off the disco ball start shooting around the whole, 4 stories of House of Blues Chicago. And boom, I was like, oh no. I got like 15 minutes left of this. I'm not gonna make it. And I look over at Allie, and Allie's like,
he's sweating.
and I'm like, I'm trying to play the song, and halfway through the song, I just go sit on the drum riser, and I'm just trying my best to like not stop. And Ed's like shouting at me while he's still playing. He's like, "Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs?" I'm like looking back at him, like, "You're not making it better, man. You're not."
You realize if that happened this year, there'd be like some Loudwire article on it, and YouTube would be like, "That's amazing."
I've been to that room too. That House of Blues Chicago is like very claustrophobic as well. So
that's a really cool venue, though. Yeah,
it's a cool venue, but it's very like tight. Yeah,
yeah. It's like straight up and not deep.
So, Greg, we now know like the extracurricular stuff that influenced you guys. What were you guys listening to, like musically, to influence you guys? Because as Tony pointed out when we were in a group chat earlier, the opening to Blur sounds like a Smith song, and House is Not My Home. I hear like Beach Boys harmonies in there. Like, what were you guys into at that point?
Oh man, I would say everybody throughout the course of the band all listen to different stuff. I think that's one of the reasons that those records, definitely those first 3, I think, were kind of eclectic. Like, there's not like I think MFZB I would say is probably the closest to sounding more cohesive and uniform. Like Waste of Mind is kind of all over the place. When I was listening to it today, I was like, man, this is like, it's not like out of place weird at times, but guys, is it the Walkaway breakdown where it goes to a reggae riff? And I was like, oh, what a cool breakdown. I forgot about this part.
Yep. Yep.
Like MFZB, I felt like was a little more cohesive. There was stuff that was starting to become more popular where, like I couldn't, at the time, I would get a lot of new music just from meeting kids at shows and talking to them afterwards. And like, I kept seeing kids wearing these shirts that said AFI all the time. I'm like, what the fuck is this AFI? And, had to check that out. It was like, oh, this is actually really good. Especially some of that early stuff from them was like a little more screamy, right? Before it became more melodic. And then now it's like, I don't know, they're like an EDM band now.
Yeah, they've gone through a couple of different sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like a kind of Bay Area punk band, and then they shifted a little more production behind them over the years.
Yeah. That Refused record came out right at that time too, which was kind of, super heavy. Allie always listened to a lot of rap on the, in his earphones. I think when I went to bed, my headphone records that I would go to sleep to a lot were Pet Sounds.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned that on our we had you for the 100th episode. Pet Sounds was your the comfort food album, right?
Comfort food, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, it comes through on House Is Not My Home. Like the harmonies in that. I don't know if that was conscious or it just kind of naturally happened, but
that was a record. So like some of the songs on the record when I was listening to it today, and I wasn't necessarily sure if I remembered everything and how the song went, but I could remember some of the fights vividly and fighting about songs. I was like, oh, fuck. House Is Not My Home came on. I was like, oh, fuck. And there was a lot of fights about that song. And like hearing it today, I was like, this is a really good song. Why did we fight over this so much? I thought it was nice. It was refreshing to hear that song again today. And the other one that all the bad memories are rushing back right now was Let It Ride. And like the whole time listening to it today, I was like, yeah, this is a whole bunch of parts that got jammed together because we couldn't fucking decide on what the direction of the song was.
How often does that happen?
The remembering of the fights, or like
No, the
not being able to
jamming
put
parts together. Yeah.
You know, sometimes you jam parts together and it works, and sometimes it's very obvious that you like maybe this was 2 or 3 separate songs and they just stuck them together and called it a day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the record and the time and whose vision it was, and if someone can get everybody on board with that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Hello Tomorrow, I brought that in. I didn't write lyrics for very many of our songs, but that was one I had written lyrics for, and I played it for the guys, and everybody wanted to take the shuffle out of the song. I was like, no, that's not how I wrote it. Stop. And then, so, you know, we would try things just to be like, well, let's see what it sounds like if we do it like this. And we played it straight, and we played it double time, we played it ballad, and we played it, you know, 6 different ways. And I was like, yeah, see, told you, first way. And then before everybody was finally like, all right.
You're like, guys, I did this already in my head. I know the answer.
Please believe me.
But yeah, there was, you know, you get 2 singers too, and it can be like, who's going to be the guy? You know, it's a, how the fucking Beatles fit all those fucking personalities in the fucking band?
Right.
Yeah.
You have 4 stars.
Yeah.
So Greg, do you, I think Tony kind of alluded to this earlier. Do you think about who's going to sing over certain parts when you guys are writing?
At that time in the band, it was almost set in stone that Ali would do verses and Justin would do choruses.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. I mean, I have to go back and listen to those first 2 records to see if that doesn't happen on some things. There's some songs that maybe Justin sings the first half of the verse or the second half of the verse, or like a pre-chorus, but then Ali's usually is usually the verse. And then I'm trying to think of one where he was just trying to find a place for him. Wasted was difficult to try and find a spot for Ali, and we had the bridge break down to try and make space for him, because he doesn't play an instrument. So it's like, if he doesn't rap somewhere in the song, it's like, what's he gonna do if we play this live? Go fucking sit on the side of the stage or something? Like,
get a turntable.
Mushrooms. He's gonna do mushrooms.
Right? Yeah.
It's actually an interesting point too, because like, you know, we're all big 311 fans here. Like when SA is not doing his thing, yeah, we don't. Where does he go? He's like backstage. He's side stage. You know, it's different.
I think that's why he does turntables.
Yeah, exactly, on sound system especially.
Nate, that's why I said it. I thought of them.
Yeah.
When I said turntables. Yeah.
But it's the only time in like, this just brought me into a next question. Like, it's the only time in like music history, at least for us personally, where like, call it when you guys got the first record out in 98 to like 2003 with MFZB. It's the only time that I can like really point my finger on a time where the music style really changed. So like rap rock was huge, call it new metal. And then for whatever reason, it kind of faded in 03. So I remember reading something in a music magazine where Linkin Park, also dual vocalists, Chester Bennington and Mike Shinoda, and Warner Brothers, the label, was like, you know what, Mike, we might have to just cut your freestyles because like the whole rap rock thing is not really working anymore. Was there ever a time with MFZB where Sony was like, you know, Ali, like, that's just not really where music is right now. We're going to maybe pull the whole rap rock thing. Was that something that ever came up in recording of this record, or?
Not from Sony, but there's only so much center stage for the spotlight.
Yeah.
And when you have 2 singers, that tug of war can be an issue, I suppose. So it wasn't from Sony. It was a issue of the 2 singers trying to find enough space for themselves.
Internal.
Yeah. Which was like, I got it, and at the same time I didn't get it. But there was times when, you know, that last Outkast record came out right around that time. We were recording that record, and they didn't do a fucking single song together on that record because they fucking hated each other. Right. So they had 2 separate records.
That's right.
They just called under the Outkast umbrella because Big Boy or Andre 2000 by itself in a name isn't as big as the Outkast name.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to just have a double record where they each did their own record, right? So I wasn't pushing for them to each have their own record, but I was pushing within the band to be like, why does every half song have to have the same fucking format with the same formula and the same, Ali's gonna rap here, Justin's gonna sing here, and then I'm gonna do a guitar riff. And you're like, this is fucking boring. I already know what's gonna happen before the fucking song's over. So like I would try and push for, I'm like, why can't we have just an all Ali song? Why can't we have just an all Justin song? Why we can mix it up here? Like, just let the song take you where it wants to go. Why does it have to be, why are we forcing our formula in the way you want it to be rather than just letting the song be the best version of the song?
Yeah.
And I really only won that twice on that record with Type A, I guess, and Dear You. They each got one where there wasn't the other person having vocals on it.
Well, and both those songs are awesome in their own right, and they probably make sense as a single Justin song or a single Ali song. Do you think, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you think had you won out a little more often and you had been able to do like, this is a Justin song, this is an Ali song, things would have been a little better than they ended up?
I don't know. I thought the record turned out really well. I thought if we could have, I thought the record before was too poppy, and I don't know. Maybe that's us conceding to pressures from the label, but I just wanted I didn't know if MFZB was going to be our last record, so if it was going to be our swan song, I just wanted us to. I wanted to go out and do it my way, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's a good way to do it, because kind of bringing back to Nate's point, at the macro level, you have rap rock new metal fading out, and then what's carrying the torch, and when I say that, I'm thinking at like the TRL level, you have the Newfound Glories, the Good Charlottes, the Simple Plans. Like, you kind of guys lived in both of those worlds. Yeah. You guys could have toured with each one of those. So I think almost paddling your own canoe was probably the way to go, because you could live in both worlds, you know?
Yeah, it was something, because we did play with heavier bands at times, and then we played with lighter bands at times. And I thought it was kind of cool that we could always like change the set to be heavier or poppier, or, you know, it's like we played with Motorhead, for crying out loud, on a couple of shows. And then like literally in the same Hammersmith ballroom, we played with All American Rejects. It's like,
there you go.
You can't get much more different than those two like rock bands.
Nope.
Under the umbrella of rock bands.
So true.
And there's only a few bands that can do that. Like 311 could probably do that, and it wouldn't be crazy. You guys,
not a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. Like, I'm stumped, you know?
Yeah, not a lot. NFG can do it in some instances with a little bit of that breakdown and that hardcore edge.
Yeah, heavier stuff.
In spots. But yeah, typically not a lot of bands. Yep. All right, so Greg, we've hit on a lot of stuff. We've just scratched the surface. We could probably do this for another hour and a half, but not everybody, I mean, I have to edit it, so we're not going to do that.
I'm down. You know, I'm down.
Is there anything that you want to get out there? Is this, that we didn't cover? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I would say if anybody is in a troublesome spot and you don't know if this ship is sinking, just keep your head up, man. You know, you never know what's around the corner. Just because it's 0-2 with 2 outs in the ninth doesn't mean you lost yet. Like, you can still catch lightning in a bottle. You can still make magic happen. Game's not over until it's over. And I really kind of feel like the band as a whole got it done, even if, you know, we were punching and kicking ourselves through the process. But yeah, in a 19-year rearview window, like, it was worth it. Like I said, my record that I'd be most proud of and look fondly on. It was fun to hear the record again in its entirety today. I was surprised how good it sounded holding up like 20 years later, that it didn't sound a little dated or just like the harmonics of the record were off or anything. It's like, nah, it still sounds like a good record right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. I've listened to it off and on for the 19 years that it's been out, just about, and it's one that I come back to the most of the Zebrahead catalog. As much as I like all of your stuff, it's the one that I'm like, man, I'm ready for a Zebrahead record, and I'm going back to that one. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there's a relatability factor in there. It's like MFZB by Zebrahead and self-titled by Blink-182. It's no longer talking about high school and stuff like that. It's more like, this is a record. This is like a record I can, like you said, listen to 19 years later and be like, okay, this is relatable then, relatable now. Even if it's not relatable at all, it's still just really great composed music. Not that the first two weren't.
No, but that's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was actually, because I was trying to get through all three today, but I did MFCB and then Waste of Mine. And I was thinking that same thing. I'm like, wow, there's just like the lyrical content and what the songs are in verse or poem, or however you want to think of it, like what we're talking about. It changed. Like somewhere in there, life happened. We didn't have any life experience when we wrote the first record. And the second record was written in such a rush that we had that sophomore jinx, I felt like. And the third record, it was like, oh, we're grown up. We have things to talk about that aren't high school.
Yeah, it's definitely more dialed. And it's an album that a band probably couldn't have made as their first record, or even their second. It comes with that experience. And I'm not going to age you guys, but you guys you weren't necessarily young pups anymore. That just implied you're really fucking old right now, Greg. But
wow, what a dick! What a dick! Shit. We're gonna tuck him in now too.
You had some experience under your belt, and you guys were probably better musicians. Like, it all makes sense. I think this is, in my opinion, I'll echo Tony, it's your best release.
Oh, here's what I'll go out saying. I always said that if MFZB was our second record instead of Playmate and got the same push, and maybe the single lineup was Hello Tomorrow, Blur, Expectations, or Dear You, or maybe Type A, Hello Tomorrow, like if we'd have done this record instead of Playmate, I wouldn't have a job. Like I wouldn't have to work. It would have been a much bigger band, which also in retrospect, I don't know if we could have handled that. We would have fucking killed each other. Somebody would die. It would have been a more money, more problems situation.
With the music video that looks like you're in a cheese grater.
Well, if you don't do Playmate of the Year, Greg, you don't get to go to the Playboy Mansion. You don't get half in your video. Like
that's true.
You did get to do that, so that was cool.
Who did he had to sell it after he died, right? His kids sold it. Do they still have it?
That's a great question. I
wonder
even know
who owns it now.
I don't know. Can you imagine cleaning that pool though? I mean, that's...
Oh God, the grotto.
The grotto.
Oh boy.
It's just chlorine. It's fine.
Yeah, they're shocking that thing every 6 hours.
Oh, Greg, you were there. You'd know. So we'll save that for after them.
Yeah, we'll do a full episode on the Playmate of the Year video down the line. There is a spot in that video where Greg is massaging somebody. It's go check it out. It's pretty cool.
And hint, it's not a fellow band.
No, yeah, it's not anybody.
It's not Ed.
It's not Ali. It's not Justin. Yeah. Well, Greg, we obviously love having you on the Podioslave podcast, and we're happy to have had you back. And till next time, when you're in the Six Timers Club.
All right. Episode 138.
Yeah, we could do it in a couple weeks. Who knows?
3 weeks.
No, I thought you wanted something that ended in 69, right? So we'll do 169.
169, yes. We are earmarking 169 for Greg to come back.
Yeah, you or Elon Musk. I know you guys both like that number. So
we'll run out of content and we'll start deep diving albums you weren't on.
Yeah. Greg would be down.
Dan was thinking on this solo, he was going to do a Phrygian sharp fourth, and
oh boy. Okay, yeah. Check out the Bourbon Brothers, Greg. You are part of the Bourbon Brothers. Go check them out. They've got some pretty awesome jazz, rock infused. Elmo gets to go to shows. He's still there. Yeah, go check him
Oh
out.
no, I gotta tell you, I didn't. The Elmo.
No, no. What happened to Elmo?
After some
You
20
heard
odd
it first.
years,
You heard it
yeah.
first.
I was packing up for a gig, and the next day we would go to load up, and I'm like, "Where's my backpack?" I figured one of the other guys had it, and they didn't have it. And called back to the venue we played at, and they didn't. They looked all over. We went back to the venue; it wasn't there, and it had all our mics in it. It had a bunch of cables in it too. And I was like, honestly, I just lost like $1,000 worth of microphones. I would pay $1,000 to get my fucking Elmo back. Whoever fucking took my bag, they can keep the microphones. Just give me my Elmo back.
Oh man!
If you took that fucking bag, send Greg his email podioslave@gmail.com, and we will get Greg his fucking Elmo back, please.
So yeah, there's a new talking Elmo on top of my amp now.
Man.
Tickle the Elmo. Tickle.
Well, it doesn't tickle. It's not the tickle one, but it's like you squeeze him, and he's like he has like 5 things that he says.
We'll see what we can come up with here.
Yeah, we'll blast this out to the world, to the internet.
Fun thing about Bourbon Brothers this weekend. So I booked this show like a couple months ago, and I go to put the I'm looking for some sort of material. It's a city of Smyrna. It's a city, suburbs of Atlanta. And it's their 100th anniversary or 150th anniversary. I don't even remember. But I'm like looking on the city website for some sort of picture or something of this festival that we're booked at for playing to put on our website to, update our calendar. And I pull up the website on the city festivities. I'm like, wait, is this the right date? October 8th. Yeah, it says October 8th. It says Train and Toad the Wet Sprocket are headlining. I was like, we're playing with Toad the Wet Sprocket and Train?
Oh, wow.
And this didn't come up when they booked us. I was like, I guess we're on our first like real lineup.
Hey, shit, yeah, dude.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So yeah, got a big show and didn't even realize I put it on the calendar.
So if you're going to see this big show next, this is probably gonna be released after. But if you were there, I hope you threw an Elmo at Greg.
Yes.
Thanks, Greg. We appreciate it, man.
All right,
This was fun, man. Thank you.
Always fun with you guys.
Thanks, man.
Peace, potheads. Yeah, peace, potheads.
Mic drop.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you. Go to commercial. Tell her she's making the end of the podcast with that right there.
All right, sweetheart, you're right. Spirit Day, sports teams, October 4th.
Booyah!
Don't wake your brother up by screaming.
Wear that Braves jersey. Tommy Glavine.
They said to wear the Braves jersey. I refuse to get a Glavine jersey. I said, if you're gonna get a jersey, it's got to be like somebody I respect, like Hank Aaron or something.
I was right.